what's up, everybody? Hello, hello, hello.
Are we
Welcome.
live?
I think we're live. I think we're doing it. Look, hey, everybody. Thank you for coming to hang out with us for, I guess, the pilot episode, first show, first trial run, really, of the Payload podcast. And I think we have some sweet lore to dig into, perhaps. But look, it's me. Hey, hi, hello. I'm John Hammond. I've got sweet, esteemed co-host with me, Johnny Johnson, and a sweet special guest that I think you might see more of, as sort of like a sweet third wheel. But Johnny, I'm sorry. I'm going to let you take the floor, my friend.
No, I appreciate it. Everybody, first, before we start, I have a good mic today, so no one roasts me. I'm also not on that sketty Wi-Fi, so I shouldn't be in and out like last night. My name's Johnny. For those that don't know me, I do security research. I work at Huntress. I work on the EDR over there. Started my career off in detection engineering, and just as time has progressed, got into research, got into EDR things. Love Windows. It's my favorite. And I'll pass over to Max, and then we'll kind of talk about Max's role here on the podcast.
Hey, Max. I'm a researcher at Dreadnode doing like AI and security stuff. Not much more to it than that.
We tried to level set, like we had it in our heads, and we wanted to make it clear to people tuning in, whether we throw out some visuals, whether we do any like screen share at any point, because the benefit of this, what we want to do is to make it like live, to actually have kind of chat here with us. And we knew, look, we're going to make this thing pretty scuffed. Yeah. Professionalism out the window, us interrupting each other,
It's
us
gone.
being jerks, we're roasting. Yeah. I hope we have
100%.
some fun with this, but I'm super glad to get some buds together. Because, Johnny, I think the way that this thing started was realistically, we wanted more of a chance and an opportunity to hang out with each other. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we were both so busy that like we started to hang out on Thursdays, which today's Thursday, and I think literally our first or second hangout, we're like, I used to do another podcast. It's like, man, I miss podcasting. You're like, I want to do live streams, and we're like, idea. And then here we are today. And it's pretty cool because we want to take a new take on podcasts. Like, a lot of times podcasts come in, they're very professional, got all these list of questions, have this guest, whatever it is. We wanted to do a live stream that also got pushed out to other platforms because it allows us to do demos. So we're going to have people in the future come in, maybe show some code, maybe show some AI, maybe show some red team, whatever it may be, and do live demos. And then some guests might not even do that. So we wanted to have that opportunity, have chat, ask questions real time, so that if they're watching this, they could ask questions, we could respond to them. Yeah, and I'll kind of talk about Max as well. Max, I worked with Max ever since the beginning of my career. Super incredible guy. And it's funny because, whenever we started this thing, we're like, we want two hosts, but we kind of need a third in case one of us aren't necessarily around. And John was like, so we need a third wheel. And I was like, kind of.
That's what you are, Max. I'm sorry.
I'm a
Sorry.
proud third wheel.
Yeah.
So Max is not only our first guest, but he actually is like our third guest host, where in situation you're going to see him more than you're going to see other guests. Like if John is gone or I'm gone, Max is probably going to fill in, or Max might hit us up and be like, guys, I have something super sick to show you guys and I want to put on so he's going to jump in. So super excited to have you, Max. I think you're going to be a great third wheel, as some would say.
Thanks, dude. Yeah.
I think Johnny actually wanted to have a podcast with Max, but he just used me to get the YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Twitter platform delivery.
No. So Max, tell everybody your background a little bit. I kind of teased yesterday that you started off in red teaming, pen testing. Max and I actually sat right next to each other our first day on the job. It was my first day at a company called SpectreOps, and he was an intern, and we sat side by side in Seattle. So
we did.
I got to know you, Max, via Matt. So to make this even more confusing and annoying, John and Johnny and Max and Matt sort of circulating in alliteration world.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll start with Johnny, but yeah, I know Johnny. We worked at SpectreOps. It was my first day of my internship at Spectre, and it was Johnny's first day working full time. Yeah, we sat right next to each other in the Seattle office, like the two Zoomers over there. So we became quick friends, just being Zoomers and goofy, and yeah, quick friends after that. And actually, Jonny and I live in the same city, so we get to hang out quite a bit.
How'd that happen? Is
Then,
it like what? Sorry, not to interrupt you, but I'm trying to remember how that
Yeah,
happened.
yeah,
Please
It's
keep
actually kinda
interrupting.
crazy.
Please keep.
Yeah. It was kind of crazy. Like I was living in Missouri at the time. I was like, I don't want to live here anymore. Where's a good spot? Max is like, South Carolina's pretty sick. I think you were still living in Seattle, right?
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
so
then
I
you
was
kinda
like,
got,
hey, after I leave Seattle, I'm probably going to go to Greenville. And
Yep.
then we
Immediate
were like,
docs. First episode. Well done,
oh,
guys.
yeah,
yeah.
well, whatever.
We live in Greenville, South
Uh,
Carolina. Everybody come hang out.
God dang.
Security is, but yeah, we both are around here. The great state of South Carolina, go Tigers. And so, yeah, we're both here hanging out. And then I met John. Actually, you probably don't remember this, but I actually introduced you to Matt.
Oh no.
Because I was the president of the Clemson
Yeah.
cybersecurity club, and got you as a speaker, and then Matt came after, like talked to you after the meeting, and so that's where that introduction actually came from.
We've established a lot already. Immediate docs
Yeah.
for co-hosts, and my memory is a goldfish.
You got a lot
Great.
going on. But yeah, so that's kind of it all ties together. Now
Yeah.
we
It
just
all comes together,
need
yeah.
Matt Alpha. Matt
Is
E.
that a testament to the security industry actually being a small community? Is it really? To people?
Dude. It's tiny.
It's so
Teeny
small.
I feel like,
yeah.
yeah.
Especially once you get
yeah.
on like social media platforms like Twitter, for example. Once you start like putting things out there, I feel like it's always the same circle. It's like, I know if I want to see like red team drama or like a spark, a little light over there, I know the group. If I want to talk, if I want to see like the defensive realm people talk, I know like people that are doing Windows research. It's so small, and it even gets even smaller as you dive into like the little groups.
Makes it fun though.
Oh yeah.
Makes like all the security conferences are fun. You see the same faces like every single time.
Family
Yep.
reunion.
So Max,
Mhm.
you started in red teaming, and now you're
Yeah.
red pilled in AI. So I kind of want to hear
Yeah.
this story of evolution.
I'm so
from-
glad that I have a fellow AI pilled person here with me. I think that we got Jonny. I told you like just use Nano Banana Pro, and you're like, what is that? And then you made our,
Yeah.
our podcast picture with
But-
that, and you're like, great.
Yeah, Max and I hang out every Wednesday with another friend, Nick, and I forget what it was, but like I was talking about development, and Max is like, "Just use AI, dude," and I'm like, "No, I'm too good for that." And Max also has been trying to get me AI pilled big time.
Let me hear your take, Max. I'm sorry.
My take. Yeah, I mean,
Hold
so
on.
kind of the story there is like I was, doing, I kind of started off at Spectre doing software development. Like I was half development, half red team, and then moved fully over to red team, uh, and did red teams for a number of years, um, and then at SoCon 2023, Nick Landers and Will Pierce did a talk called "Ghost in the Node," which is recorded, and it's a really good talk. I mean, just the way AI moves, it's outdated now. There's been so much development that's happened since then, but a lot of the principles are still there, are still really good. Definitely worth a watch. And at the time, I was very AI skeptical. I was like, there's no way. Like I'm a genius. Everyone I work with is a genius. Like AI will not replace us. And then they introduced this like tool calling, which I'd never seen before. I'd interacted with Chat GPT, but like at the time, tool calling was really not even done. We didn't have Claude Code at that point, and so it was genuinely very innovative, and like being able to see, uh, an LLM interact with its environment, and kind of the implications of that. That's what that talk goes over. It was immediately obvious that, oh yeah, I mean AI is gonna be able to do exactly what I do, in not too long. So that was kind of the eye-opening moment. And then a year or two passed, and now I'm working at a Dreadnought under Will and Nick. So it was a pretty short turnaround, but
one of the really cool, I don't know, eye-opening blogs that I read about AI, red teaming, and just like anything like that, was your recent blog on AMZ providers.
oh yeah, dude, that's
Could
fun.
you talk about that a little bit? Because I read that and I honestly was like blown away, because that was like that was an eye-opening moment of like, okay, like this is more than just someone, I don't know, going into Claude asking a question, going into ChatGPT asking a question, asking like, Claude, could you make me a Hello World program or whatever it is? Like that was kind of like a new thing for me to see, and it really opened my eyes.
Yeah, so that's sort of it's a two-part blog post. The first part is it's actually, I kind of did a little backwards, but the first part is you instrument, a local. For that one, I did a local model. You instrument some sort of model, like an LLM, to generate AMZ or PowerShell or Lua. In the first blog post, it was Lua. In the second blog post, it ended up being PowerShell. But you basically take a scripting engine, load it into um, an executable that can generate token, like use an LLM, and you basically have some sort of verifiable reward. So in this case, it was privilege escalation, and so you basically have a very simple agent that tries to it gets a goal. It's like, hey, I need to escalate privileges from low privilege to high privilege, and the LLM does its agentic thing. Calls the tools that it has access to, which in this case is pretty much just running either Lua or PowerShell, and if it succeeds, so if the reward that we get is, we get a reward if the process is running running as system when it completes, um, and so we have this way to check if it succeeded or not, and then you basically have, I mean, that's like an agent that does offense. So that's the first blog post, and then the second blog post is like, hey, what if we hooked up a PowerShell agent and a AMZ provider, uh, did the same thing with the red team agent. So the red team agent becomes a generator to generate malicious trajectory or malicious, call them trajectories, but it's like like a pen test. It does the offensive security thing, and then you have a blue team agent, which is an AMZ provider, that basically just gets that trajectory, that thing that happened that the red team agent did, and then classifies it as either malicious or benign. And so now you have two things, like two LLMs that are like battling against each other. One is trying to privilege escalate, one is trying to stop the other one. And yeah, so that becomes really good training data if you want to make uh, a either a red team agent or a blue team agent that can, or a blue team AMZ provider. Um, so yeah,
And
that's
for
like the
the
gist.
for those that don't know, AMZ stands for anti-malware scan interface. The whole premise of that is it's used, you can create a provider essentially, and what it'll do is it'll start to log certain scripting languages and like what was ran. So it's used very heavily in EDRs. People can either create a provider if they want to maybe block certain scripts from running, because it does go through a provider, or someone can use something called event tracing for Windows, ETW, to collect that directly, which I'm the biggest ETW fan.
I knew you
But
were
I
going to
wanted
squeeze
to.
it in. I knew you were going to get the ETW love. I knew it was going to happen. I was waiting episode 1.
I'm sorry. But yeah, I thought that was super cool. Like, and to be honest with you, it was seeing that project. I was like, because even now, I'm going to be honest. Like, I think AI is cool. I think like I did a project called Event Site, which basically like read like EVTX files, like we talked about this, Max, and had detection of the back end. And it was cool because, you know, I had learnings and correlations on the back end of it. And I played with it for 2 weeks and I was like, man, this thing is picking things up in a EVTX file better than I did 6 months out of, you know, into my career as a detection engineer. And it's kind of crazy. But I do think it has applications. I do think you know, I'm just going to say this. I know this is probably a hot take. I think a lot of people are using it to write code, but don't know how to debug the code. And so it's going to cause a lot of issues. And there are those things. But when reading that blog, I was like, wow, imagine a world where you now have this red agent, this blue agent, and they're literally learning off of each other. And like, talk about the quickness of learning that could have. Because like when it comes to learning, usually you have to, if it's agentic, you're like, hey, this was wrong, or hey, go find this, you know, you didn't see this. And it's like, it takes a little bit of time, but to have that side by side is actually a crazy idea. And really did blow my mind there.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It just is nuts. Like the fact that, I mean, and this is kind of goofy, but like just think about a few years ago, you know, you see GPT-3 being released and it's like this thing, like, is this thing really going to be able to interact with its environment, perform red teams, whatever, you know? It seems obvious now, but like definitely was not obvious even a couple years ago.
Comparison of like Will Smith eating spaghetti in the video and the like 2023 versus 2026, and it's just like the atrocious one in the beginning, and now it's kind of bonkers.
Yeah, it is. And like I think it maps so well onto cybersecurity because of this idea of verifiable rewards. Like that's really all like people in the AI space, like that's, you know, gold if you have a problem set that boils down to something that you can verify. And like red team fits onto that so perfectly. Because it, you know, like red team to get a quick little philosophy break, but like it you know, like red team is fairly like it's a critique of either like developers or like infrastructure, you know. It's like developers write something, red team responds with a critique, you know, the critique being like a POC. Uh and so, and like you can verify whether that critique is correct or not by, you know, do you go from you know, low privilege user to high privilege user, you know, from like unauthenticated access to you know, being able to have like remote code execution. And you can verify that. Like that's why POC or GTFO is like such a big deal in the red team space, because it's like, you know, we create this critique, does it work or does it not? And you know, if you can create some sort of reward, you know, LLMs can, you know, AI generally is like good at hill climbing, which is, you know, you have a reward, you try to climb to that reward, and you know your model is built or whatnot. So like red team just maps so perfectly onto you know, how AI works, and I think blue team does too. You know, it's like blue team, and I'm not a blue team guy. You guys are gonna roast me for this, but like blue team is like you have a ton of data, you have signal that's like malicious signal, and if you know what that malicious signal is, like your reward is basically, here's all this stuff, can you find, you know, this uh like malicious signal in, you know, normal computer usage. So like I just feel like AI and security go so well together because of kind of how it's structured.
Yeah, I mean,
What's y'all's take on that?
I agree to an extent. I think like the thing when it comes to blue side is, yes, to be honest, and here's another hot take. I do not think trying to think how long I've been in the industry. For as long as I've been in the industry, I think the needle has moved in the blue side, very little. If not regressed a little bit. Because I think we have people in the industry. The thing about blue side is a lot of blue team people don't have the time to dive into something, right? And so it's like, how do I get quick wins as fast as possible? And then so the depth of understanding is not super deep. And that's why like the barrier to entry for an offensive engineer is higher than the barrier of entry to a blue team, blue team engineer, or whatever it may be. And so I think that is one issue. So I think AI can help with that. I think one of the big things when it comes to AI and blue side is the blue team has to be able to classify, especially if you're talking about like SOC analysts. They have to be able to classify an alert. Is this malicious? Is it not malicious? At its core understanding here. I think AI can be used, to your point, Max, to grab all this, to look at all this data and be like, I think this is weird. I think this is weird. I think this is weird. Let me surface that to you. I think classifications should finish with a person, though, just because AI does. I learned this when I built out of Insight, is like it does so good at looking at data and being like, this is a little weird, that it does come back with false positives. Like, oh, well, that's like normal, like Windows operating system things. Like that is like, it's like SVC host talking over this port. It's like, no, that's okay. Like that's not a big deal. So I think classification should end with a human. I will say we will continue to see evolution of AI and offensive tooling significantly more than blue side for now, because I don't think red has to worry about scale as much as blue. And then there's like this third piece, and that third piece is, I think a lot of people are using AI on the blue side to just push out a bunch of tools on GitHub. And it's not necessarily like helpful for anybody, or it's not necessarily like doesn't help move the needle. Like the number of GitHub repos you have does not equal like skill set, I guess, in my head. And so we see this a lot, and I think with AI on the blue side. So, and the last thing I'll say, like I mentioned, I think AI and red teaming goes really well. We're going to continue to see a lot of that. We're going to see attackers using that, etc. I think it's a little different on the blue side, especially on when you have like engineering development, because again, I think AI can help write code, but you do start to see bugs introduced. And then it's like, well, engineers use like Claude to write this code. And it's like, well, what actually broke? I'm not sure. Now I don't know how to debug this code because I didn't actually write it or structure it. So I just think like I'm skeptical when it comes to like true development, pushing things out to prod. But when it comes to like research, I mean, I think it's great. So
yeah, well, your point about classification, like classification models are some of the oldest AI model, like for detecting like numbers, people like hand drawn numbers, and like we can go back decades and see.
Sure.
Like if you give AI models like enough information, like they do superhumanly perform classification. So like I think maybe you're right that like right now that's not there, but looking forward, like I think you're right. Or I think you might have to reconsider. And then your point about like code is spot on. I mean, people are writing like, I mean, it takes, like, you still need good software development practices to write good like AI slop code.
Yeah.
We can say it. You can say the word.
It's it's hard. Like it is a skill set in itself to like be able to write good slop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you.
And to your point about classification, I don't disagree. I think we're just going to see as time goes on. I think if you have good detection engineers training a model, then awesome. But I think it really comes back, and that goes into classification. I think that's great. But it all depends on who's behind the seat teaching the model or adding the learnings, whatever it may be, because I think that could really be the fork in the road of how well the learnings are applied due to knowledge and expertise versus not. And I'm curious to see where that goes. I'm not really in the whole classification realm anymore. I don't really do detection engineering anymore. I do research, and I do programming. So it's like I've kind of left that behind a little bit, but I am skeptical when I do go on. I do see some people making decisions with AI, and I'm like, I don't know about that. But it might just take time.
Is that like AI in production, like being the arbiter of what happens where and when and how? Because that's, I know, where we get like, I feel squeamish and unhappy. Like, oh, no, don't really put that out there in the world. You can use it yourself internally for your stuff, but
Sure.
not. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say right now I'm just skeptical of AI. Like, I just haven't seen, and this is going to be such a hot take because there's so many companies out there using AI. I haven't seen a good use of blue-sided AI. I've seen a lot of good use of red team. Like, Dreadnought is probably, in my opinion, like the number one company right now doing just absolutely crazy things. But I think Nvidia is doing some cool stuff as well. But like when it comes to the blue side, blue-sided stuff is not as cool, right? Like I think people don't think it's like as
True.
exactly. I mean, and so I think there's just being less applied. There's less work into it. So I'm not saying it won't ever get there. What I'm saying is it really depends who's behind the keyboard, just like it does.
But think about the benefits the blue team has. Like y'all care about data. Like you guys, like blue team cares so much about like quality data and having like good pipelines, like being able to, suck data from every single computer on the network and like operationalize that red team doesn't. And at the end of the day, so much of AI, like it, all that matters is just having a ton of data and like being able to grab something from that. So I think I think like y'all have the upper hand. You just don't realize it maybe.
Well, that's my point that I'm getting at. I think like we have the most perfect like lay of the land. Like we have a great infrastructure for AI to be applied. I'm just not seeing it done well. Like that's like when it comes to like event site, I wish I had that when I started my career because it would have been so sick when I did like compromise assessments, whatever it is, just to pull a whole bunch of EBTXs and run it through this. And then it's like, great, that's based off learnings. But like back in the day, it's so manual. You had to like do the same thing over and over and over again. Let me run this query. Let me pull this out. Let me investigate this. And I think like that's a great use case for the blue side of AI today, where it's like, hey, look at all this data. Here's some learning. So like, you're not just throwing false positives to me, and pull some stuff out and at least give someone a starting point of like where to start looking. And so I sound probably like anti-AI right now. I'm definitely not. Like I'm definitely pro it. I just would love to see more use cases, kind of like what you did in your blog, Max, and things like event site being put out there, that I think could really be strung together and make a really cool system. And I also think like after a while, how do I say this?
I'll squeeze in. No,
go ahead.
I feel like part of the problem is context and like quite literally context window, as in how much robot can retain. Because if we have, sure, gajillion petabytes, whatever, of data, you can't like throw the kitchen sink at it and then expect it to know and operate and understand each and every individual case or investigation or triage or detection kind of thing. So red has some, I don't want to say advantage, in that like, look, there's an objective here within a certain amount of guardrails for an application that you generate a POC, ODE, and a for. But if you're trying to be like, okay, solve security, that is harder to do, I guess.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I like I said, I think Blue Side is a great platform for AI to be applied. I just like, again, there are a couple good projects out there, but I'm not seeing that done at like, people can put out GitHub projects. That's awesome. But like once, like it's really not taking impact on the blue side unless it's like put in prod somewhere and starting to protect people who are getting hit with attacks. You know what I mean? I think that's where I'm getting at is like, it's not that I'm not seeing researchers not put out good stuff.
There 2026, 2027.
Oh yeah.
Is that on the horizon?
I absolutely do. I think like in 4 months, I'm gonna be eating my words here. Like we'll probably look back and be like,
Sonic
man,
5
Jonny,
supposed to drop real soon. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of room for it. I just would love to see more of it. And like I mentioned, like I keep going back to your blog, Max. Like that was the real eye opener for me. I was like, this is really how powerful this can be. And it actually makes me want to ask you a question. This is probably a hot take, but do you think AI is going to kill red teaming for the normal human?
It's over.
Like it's over.
We are cooked.
That's what you said.
Humans.
Yeah.
Like I think there are parts. Like I'm like, you know, there's an attitude in like the San Francisco like AI space that's like AI is going to take over everything. Like we will bow to the AGI gods. Like they're on a different level. I maybe wouldn't go that far, but like there are things about security that I think are just going to be automated. Like if I think about, you know, if I think about security in uh like or red offensive security in the general, there's like, you know, there's kind of like three three phases, I guess. There's like, you know, like when you're learning security, like offensive security, you have to kind of learn the prehistory of like what attacks exist, like what primitives exist. You know, like in the web space, you learn SQL injection and SSRF and, you know, all that fun stuff. In the like Active Directory domain, like stuff, you know, domain, you learn, you know, DC sync and, you know, abusing permissions. Like, you know, you have these, like just these primitives you use, and then like you have to know about, and then you sort of string them together into an attack path. And like, you know, this is probably a very Spectre Ops like graph theory way of thinking about security. That's where I grew up, so you know, I'm gonna
You're good.
put the fifth on that.
That's where I grew
But
up is crazy, but also same.
Origin. Yeah.
but like that's the way I think about security is like, you know, you have primitives, and you know, you string them together to like get whatever objective you're trying to get to, and then you try to verify that, like, you know, was I successfully able to get from like low privilege to high privilege, and you write a report or like verify it in some way. um but then there's this whole other side, which is like like, you know, you're using these primitives to do that, but how do you actually make primitives? And that's where like offsec research comes in. Of you know, if you think about like the Will and Lee ADCS stuff, it's like, you know, ADCS is a whole new primitive that like, you know, you weren't doing before that was released. uh but like that first part of using primitives and, you know, chaining them together to reach your objective, like that's just a game of StarCraft at the end of the day. You know, it's like there's a like you start at your base,
It's
you
Age of
have this
Empires,
fog of
bro.
war. Yeah, it is. It really is. It's
RTS.
like yeah, you you know, you have this like fog of war. You perform your enumeration steps to figure out like what nodes are available in this, um you know, graph of like potential ways to get to your objective. And then you perform your enumeration, and then you perform like your exploitation steps, either to reach your objective or to get closer so that you can enumerate more to get your final, like find out where the objective is. Um and like, you know, models are good at playing games. Like that's, you know, you can train AI to be good at playing games like that. There's nothing super like generative about just using primitives to like reach your thing. I mean, obviously it's not, um it's difficult, but it is simple, you know, in concept. Like you're just learning history of like what are the attacks, and then using them to like perform your attack. Um and so a lot of that is just knowledge, like having the knowledge. LLMs are baked in with like the database of the entire world. So like, and you know, you can do training and do agentic RAG or whatever, like learn about these primitives. So I think AI is really good at that. I think the more interesting question is like, is it going to be able to like do research and come up with new primitives, like new ways of, you know, like the real question is could an LLM find, like find a new ADCS or like find a new category, a new classification of
That would be cool.
vulnerabilities? Yeah, yeah, and that I think that's like that's one of the more interesting questions. Is like, can it do that? Because that feels like it. I think that it could, like, if you gave a model enough Windows protocol docs and Ghidra, like, could it find something if you
You
asked
mean
it?
Ida?
Um,
You mean Ida?
We
Are
start
gonna play
again.
more? Yeah. I use Binary Ninja.
Oh,
Binja for the win.
Yeah.
I did Benja for I like Benja, but I just can't teach an
Dude,
old dog new tricks.
Matt Alpha got me on Binja. He's a wizard on that.
Alden tried getting me on Binja, and I used it for like 3 months, and I was like, I'm going back to Ida. It's where I started.
Sweet.
You know, I'm just used
Sweet.
to everything.
Anyway, to your point, yeah, you give it enough
yeah.
tooling, whatever reverse engineer, debugger, disassembler you want, it could probably rip through it. And then, yeah, with the maybe finer understanding of Windows protocols, that would be like genuinely a really kind of interesting research project. So for anyone tuning in, if you want something to do, go find a new ADCS avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that would be a really cool use case for AI. I don't want the industry to become brain dead. So it's not that I'm anti AI. I just would love to see, like, I think whenever you have some people like UMax building agents, I trust that, like, hey, this is built off of really good mindset, like understanding the methodology, etc. And then I don't know. Sometimes I see other things and I'm like, this is just another thing. So that's kind of where and it's evolved so much. I mean, I remember, when did it really start to kick off? Like ChatGPT. When was that? Like a year? Dude, it's so crazy. It's like only like a year and a half
22.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Bigger adoption,
and the evolution of it's actually crazy. And I think there's a lot of, like, to your point about the whole looking for new vulnerabilities, I think the same applies for the blue side, to be honest with you. Like, could you look through this product or through this, like, agent and find gaps of, like, what cannot be seen? Or could my EDR theoretically see this new vulnerability that just came out, etc.? Like, I think those type of things are really cool to maybe test as well.
Dude, LLMs are good at reverse engineering. Like,
yeah,
I have experience doing reverse engineering from high school, which is like nothing. Like, my reverse engineering skills are not developed at all.
Go touch grass,
like
nerd.
Pico CTF reverse engineering skills. And
hey. That one cuts deep, okay? I'm a Pico CTF fan.
Dude, I love it.
Anyway.
But me with Claude Code and Ghidra MCP, like, I'm unstoppable. I can find anything. Like,
I mean, that's totally fair.
Robot can find anything, right? That's when AI takes the
I'm
wheel.
Instructing it.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, there is something to say on that front. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say,
but
the
one
other day
day
I was talking to Claude, and it, like, I was like, you're wrong on this or something. And then it just hit me with reality check. And I was like, okay, watch who you're talking to, buddy. I control you.
I pulled back up the blog in case there was anything more to tie it back to, because I did want to get a little bit more eye candy and visuals for you. But I know this is a little bit of Python code, some like stuff to manage the data set. But there's a lot of cool stuff here. Are you doing anything more with it? I know you were talking about some Active Directory shenanigans. What else is hot for you, Max?
Yeah. So one thing that's hot in the, like, AI space right now is world models. And you saw Google come out with their world model.
Now you mean like 3D virtual environment interacting things? Yeah. What was Google's called? Is it like a Geo something?
Oh, dude, I should know that, but I have no clue. Let's see.
Oh, MCP is a whole nother. Genie 3, I think.
Genie, yeah.
Chad is laughing about some MCP shenanigans, and I know that's another can of worms. But in the context of, like, Maltbot, Claudebot, OpenClaw, a whole nother rabbit hole for us. Good God.
Yeah. But yeah, so like, world models are big. And the idea is, like, they're not like, the whole point of a world model is so that you can train on like, you can train on that world. Like, hopefully the world is, like, fully simulated and matches, like, real physics. I think the coolest example I've seen of this is people using world models for training like drones, like autonomous drones, which is maybe pretty scary. But they're like, they want to they want to do, like, accurate, they want to have accurate physics so that they can simulate thousands and thousands, hundreds of millions of drone flies through an area, and you can't really do that training process in like in physical reality unless you had a trillion drones. So you simulate it, and so we're trying to do something similar for that in the security, like Windows space. So next week there's a blog coming out about that, so be on the lookout for it. But that's sort of what I'm working on, and a few of us at Dreadnought are working on right now.
Very nice.
What are you cooking up, Johnny?
Well, actually, I actually have a new blog that just came out today. It's called the Windows Projected File System. I wrote a blog on it. It's called the Phantom File System inside the Windows Projected File System. This was really cool. A good buddy of mine, Casey Smith, kind of reminded me that this existed a couple weeks ago, and I meant to look at it. It was funny. I looked at my notes like whenever I was like, man, I thought I made some notes about this, and I look and it said like January 23 of like 2025, and the notes was just blank. It just said the projected file system, and I was like, rip, I never actually finished looking into this. So I ended up looking into it, and it's actually really sick. Essentially, like Windows allows, you need like I think 1803 to do this, but they essentially allow this thing called the projected file system. And it's actually not really a file system. It's called a mini filter, which I'm happy to dive into. And it allows to essentially project files that are not technically there. And then whenever they're accessed, they can be rehydrated. But it's really like a really cool architecture if someone from the defensive realm is like wanting to build canaries. I think Think's Canary might be using it for some of their stuff, which is really cool. There's also some offensive use cases for the projected file system I was showing Max a while back. But it's super cool. So if people are interested, please take a look into it.
Can you talk about the offensive case? Because that is the coolest thing.
Yeah. So go ahead, John.
No, I am absolutely nerd sniped by projected file system stuff because, like, in my mind, this is the total foundation and like real like backbone for what should be deception work. Well, I try to poke and play with it.
Real and true, John. Great take. That's exactly like there was some probably developer at Microsoft that was like, I want to do deception. So
what if I lie to everyone always?
Exactly. It's like, how do I get this cool architecture on the OS? I'm going to call it a file system. When it's actually really not. It's so sick though. Like I agree. Like it's really good use case for deception because you can have any type of binary you want. You can do a lot of different files, folders, whatever it may be. And from a defensive side, I'll jump into offensive here in a moment, Max. But the cool thing is you actually you can project whatever you want onto these files. So if someone reads it, it could be like, haha, no. But you also get a bunch of the file IO requests back and a notification callback. So you can see who's accessing you. So the cool thing about this is you don't need a driver anymore. Historically, what you would need is a mini filter to inspect these file IO operations. You don't need that anymore. Like you just need this. And if someone accesses it, you can look at it. Now, obviously you wouldn't have access to like normal things like downloads, desktop, whatever it is. But assuming that someone dived into that folder, you would see that. So it's super cool. You can also actually deny access to certain operations, which also is a defensive capability, but also I kind of mentioned this very briefly as an offensive capability. I keep it very up in the air. So if someone wants to dive into it more, they can. But you can essentially start the projected file system as a medium maturity level user, which is just a normal user on Windows. And you can prevent deletes to any file that you want, and it doesn't matter if that process is system. It doesn't matter if they might be PTL,
Let's go.
for example. So, like, I noticed, like, for example, in a test, I basically projected to a file called friendly.exe. It was essentially the bytes of Mimikatz. I went to go execute it. It was like, no, that makes sense because I go through a different callback. And then I looked, and Defender was like, I'm going to go delete that file. And it was actually like, no. And when Defender popped up and goes, you need to restart your machine to mitigate some of these threats. And I'm like, boy, oh boy. And so like, there's other things you could do. Like when you go to project and do the reads, you can actually pass in access denied. There's some finicky things that you have to do. Theoretically, someone, if they wanted to go through it enough, they might be able to project one content to one binary, a different content to another binary. There's some, you know, I'm sure if you toss it to some AI slop, it could probably figure it out. But it's really sick, honestly.
When I played with it, I wanted to do like an absolutely completely full fake entire file system. So I might have screwed stuff up, but I tried to like put it at C drive, like at the root of the file system. And then when I would either stop the projection, it would like completely bork and ruin the system. He's like, now I can't modify or make any file because it thinks the entire file system isn't real.
yeah. That's why in my use case, I made a folder in the C drive. And like
much better.
Yeah.
Oops, I just made my entire file system read only.
It's imaginary now. My computer's a ghost.
Yeah, so it was fun to look into. It builds off this concept on Windows called reparse points. But I dive into, in the blog, I dive into the internals of the quote unquote file system and use cases for it. So it's pretty sick. I remember one night I was like looking at this and I just sent a screenshot to Max and it was like Defender failed to delete the file. And I was like, bro. And he's just like, sheesh.
Excellent.
So yeah, it was cool.
Well, my goodness gracious, my friends, this was awesome. I didn't have to do anything. I just kicked back and let you guys talk.
Dude, yeah, John, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing, John? Tell us about you, what you got going on.
I am equivocally AI pilled. I'm poking around and playing with so I fell down the rabbit hole way back when Cursor, when it had its moments, open code, Claude code. I'm also falling down the rabbit hole with OpenClaw, the Claude-bot, Moltbot thing, but like doing it securely, responsibly. And I'm trying to poke and play with that for a lot of live streams. But I feel like I'm just juggling content, man. You know, I'm just balancing too many plates to try and stay out and about. But it's a blessing and a curse, but it is a lot of fun. But whenever something new is like falling out of the sky, like Notepad++, recent spook with that.
Yeah, what happened with that? Because I saw it and like
you guys would love this.
I use Notepad. I'm just a Notepad guy. Like I haven't used Notepad++ since I was like in high school.
Doing Java YouTube tutorials.
So you all
Max is over here using Vim still on Windows, probably.
Much smarter than me. They used Microsoft Warbird. I don't know if you've heard of that thing before. Notepad++, Microsoft Warbird.
What is it? Microsoft Warbird?
Warbird. Yes, sir. Warbird. And someone had Down with Up had shared a blog post on it. Have you heard of this, Max?
Is this what Clipsys, the like
Chrysalis Backdoor Lotus Blossoms Toolkit?
Okay, that's a large name.
Isn't the Microsoft Activator code like encrypted with this? This is like way in the back of my head. So
is it?
Like disregard everything I'm saying.
I mean, it might. I don't know.
So. I remember. I forget who was telling me about that. Maybe Dan Mayer, Spectre was telling me about that. I don't know. I'll look into it.
Allegedly for some software licensing stuff, but old research, I think like 2023, that APT China, whatever, XYZ number sign had used to, I didn't get super smart on it, encrypt shell code or component in parse and piece, but the fact that it was like using Warbird, which is some, I would say, obscure and esoteric technique, was slick and spooky, scary, supply chain shenanigans, super targeted to certain culture victims via the downstream Notepad++ updater, was just like something that I think made a lot of us be like, oh, This one is actually kind of a cool story. It's not some stupid commodity, crypto coin miner rat stuff that is off the shelf. This was nifty, and you give the devil his due here.
Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, so it is used, Warbird is used for clipsp.sys, which is the in System 32, it's responsible for licensing and security. So that is really funny that someone used Microsoft's own obfuscation software to do malicious activity.
It doesn't surprise me though. I think it's one of those things that I think that's the cool thing about when you dive into all these random architecture and I've said it before, if someone defensive can use it, someone offensive can use it as well. And I think I never even heard of this before. So I'm gonna have to read into this because I have no idea what this is really.
I think you guys would like it. You are going to have to whip out the old Ghidra MCP, your Binary Ninja sidekick, and let the robot take over. But nothing wrong with that.
So what is the Notepad++ thing doing? Is it
compromised their updates so that it was able to push out malware, malicious trouble to specific victims in I think East Asia. But I feel bad. I'm not as spun up and smart on it as I should be. But the Telnet D vulnerability was also something folks were screaming and shouting about because that was funny for a 2026 bug. Telnet. It's just
glanced at that shortly. What was the actual? Did you dig into
that one? All it needed was an argument. You supplied -F to specify whatever user you basically want to become, and it was an immediate auth bypass.
Really?
That's awesome. That's so cool.
That existed for a decade or so. Anyway, those are the things that I feel oh crap, I'm trying to keep up with, but it's just chasing an ambulance after the next and kind of balancing a lot of the other stuff. So I feel bad. I don't have anything good to bring to the table. That's why I'm glad you guys can say, look at all this real cool research we did.
So have you been using Moltbot? I heard you mention it.
Sort of, yeah. I do not like the fact that credentials, secrets, passwords, API keys are just absolutely plain text on the host that you have the thing installed on. So I had Robot build a little sort of secrets manager that will have a super temporary and ephemeral locked database that I'll either have to provide my own master passphrase and multi-factor authentication for, so that it could even only use a secret that's only in memory for 5 minutes, just to give me at least some pretend peace of mind. And that has been neat because then I'm less spooked of connecting it to the things that everyone else in the world is already connecting it to. So we could probably spend a whole hour chatting about Moltbot, Claudebot crap, but we guess we'll have to do that next time or something soon.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. And that's for people wondering about cadence. We're John and I are going to try to do these things every 2 weeks. That is going to be what we're going to try to do and bring people on, or it might just be us two showing off some stuff, whatever it may be. But we're shooting for the cadence of bi-weekly, every 2 weeks.
And Max will be here too every now and again. I do want to keep Max as a third wheel.
Let's go.
Best third wheel ever.
Proud. Third wheel and proud.
How do we do? How do we I feel like we went a little all over the map. I feel like we were kind of yapping across a lot of different directions, but we knew, look, this was going to be scuff. This was going to be, hey, kind of just the first getting our sea legs, our podcast legs. But how are you feeling?
I think this was awesome. I think it was exactly what was needed for a pilot episode. It's just a bunch of banter, talking about random things back and forth. I think it's great, and I don't
think we roasted each other enough. I don't think we made fun of each other.
I know.
We got a little too real in the security conversation and not enough goofing.
That's true. I mean, it's not hard to roast Max. Dude,
it's not hard to roast you in your current state.
Okay. Oh, for those who don't know, I ruptured my ACL and I had surgery not long ago, so I literally can't walk right now.
Oh, that's true. You are.
It's crazy
broke,
though.
aren't you?
My legs are still bigger than Max's, and Max can walk, and that's
they are bigger.
we were laughing before we went live, and I was really genuinely thinking, like, dude, we should probably do some like pre-show goof off and banter, because we were making fun of Johnny's absolutely tin can microphone the other day when we were testing out chat, and Max was like, "No, dude, you live in a tin can. You look like a tin can." It was good.
It was great.
Well,
first off, Max was going to join today just on a Mac mic, and we're like, please don't, you will get roasted. Learn my lesson last night. So,
but I appreciate some of the banter in the chat. Thank you, everyone, saying, "Hey, this was kind of cool. This was kind of chill, kind of relaxed," and appreciate it. We'll do a little bit more coming up soon.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and we plan on keep doing it.
2 weeks, maybe a little bit more. Maybe we'll see how we feel with this thing. But we did want to try it out and let it come to light. So
2 weeks will be the 19th. I was thinking for some reason I thought it was gonna be like close to Valentine's Day, which is not. It's actually like next Saturday. So rip, I got my dates all messed up.
The Payload podcast, appropriately named. We were waiting for someone to drop the acronym, because that was a strategic decision.
Very strategic. I think we came up with the name, and then John and I laughed about it for like 5 to 10 minutes straight. We're like, someone's going to figure this out, and it's going to be hilarious.
I can't wait for all the streams that are like, big PP today. We got a big show. We got something going on. Payload podcast.
I just want the merch. I want the PP merch.
Be good. Well, we threw professionalism out the window right when we needed to, but should we call today? Should we wrap it up, everybody? Thanks so much.
I think so. Thank everybody so much for showing up,
for having me on, and thanks to everyone watching.
Thanks for being our third wheel.
Yeah, thank you, Max.
Dude, happy to do it.
Bye, everybody. I'm going to click the end stream button, and we will be gone
Goodbye
forever.